What started as a few offhand political comments has now spiraled into one of the most talked about internet controversies surrounding JD Vance and his marriage. On the surface, it looked like just another heated culture war debate. But once people started connecting the dots, it became something much deeper and far more personal. The moment that set everything in motion wasn't a speech, a vote, or a policy stance. It was a simple visual detail. Usha Vance appearing in public without her wedding ring. Almost instantly, social media lit up. Users didn't just notice the missing ring, they noticed everything else that came with it. Her posture, her expression, her energy.
Ow.
In new photos, she didn't look tense or weighed down. Many said she looked lighter, calmer, even happier. And once the internet senses a shift like that, speculation moves fast. What made the timing explosive was what surfaced at the exact same moment. Online receipts began circulating that suggested JD Vance may have had a romantic relationship with another man during his time at Yale. Not a rumor pulled out of thin air, but a claim allegedly coming from someone who knew him personally back then, a supposed college lover who, until now, had stayed silent. On its own, a claim might have been brushed off as anonymous internet gossip, but it wasn't happening in isolation. The ring disappearance, the resurfaced photos, and JD's own past statements all started lining up in ways people found difficult to ignore. Things escalated dramatically when political commentator Jennifer Welch made a series of blistering remarks on camera. Her comments were harsh, mocking, and intentionally provocative, accusing JD of hiding behind a constructed persona and questioning his authenticity. Ordinarily, political trash talk like this would have been dismissed as shock commentary meant to generate clicks. But this time, it landed differently, because it echoed what many people online were already whispering. And then someone dug up a quote straight from JD himself. Months before any drag photos resurfaced, before the ring discourse, before the alleged lover story, JD had casually said he wouldn't be surprised if he and Donald Trump won what he called the normal gay guy vote. At the time, the comment barely registered. Now, in context, it became a focal point. Shortly after that, an old photo from JD's Yale days went viral. It showed him dressed in drag wig makeup, full costume during law school. Supporters insisted it was nothing more than a college joke. Critics argued it was yet another piece of a much larger puzzle JD had spent years downplaying or reframing. Still, none of this would have carried the same weight if JD's own words hadn't resurfaced. An excerpt from his memoir shocked even people who had dismissed every rumor up to that point. In the book, JD openly described a childhood moment when he believed he might be gay, explaining that at a young age, he associated being gay with preferring men over women. He wrote about disliking girls being closest to his male best friend, and panicking that this meant something was wrong with him. Most people agreed that childhood confusion isn't unusual and shouldn't be judged.
Ow, what made the excerpt
go viral wasn't the story itself, it's the pattern. Because once that passage resurfaced, people began stacking it alongside everything else. The drag photo, the normal gay guy vote comment, the repeated jokes about other men's sexuality, and JD's fixation on masculinity in public speeches. One clip that reignited debate showed JD laughing along during a discussion where Frederick Douglass was jokingly described as gay, with JD adding a comment that Douglass may have freed enslaved men early so they could meet other men. Critics saw this not as humor, but as another example of an oddly consistent theme. At the same time, JD's public messaging leaned heavily into traditional masculinity. He frequently warned young men not to suppress masculine instincts, criticizing what he called a culture that makes men feel ashamed simply for being men. To many observers, the contradiction between this messaging and the resurfaced moments was jarring. Then the situation took another turn when extremist commentator Nick Fuentes publicly attacked JD using explicitly homophobic insults, mocking his marriage and loyalty. Normally, infighting within MAGA-aligned circles is dismissed as noise. This time, it poured gasoline on an already burning narrative that brings us back to the alleged college lover. according to reposts of a now-deleted Reddit thread. The individual claimed JD wasn't confused or experimenting during college. Alleged JD enjoyed the attention, felt comfortable around men, and that many people in their circle assumed he would eventually come out after graduation. That single line, "we assumed he'd come out," is what truly set the internet off, because it aligned with nearly every controversy JD had previously laughed away. Of course, anyone can say anything online. Many people emphasize that point. But as users dug deeper, they found that everything connected to JD's past suddenly seemed more coherent. The drag photo no longer looked like a prank, and the memoir excerpt no longer felt incidental. The comments about gay voters didn't sound ironic. Usha not wearing her ring no longer seemed like a fashion choice. Attention shifted back to Usha Vance herself, known for being composed and reserved. She rarely shows emotion publicly. But the newer photos told a different story. She didn't look stressed or overwhelmed. She looked relieved. Some people described it as the look of someone who had finally learned the truth. Others said she appeared emotionally detached, long before the public noticed the ring was gone. The speculation turned darker when viewers noticed JD's demeanor on camera after the ring discourse went viral. In one moment he appeared visibly shaken, like someone realizing a private reality was on the verge of becoming public at that point. The controversy stopped being about whether JD might be attracted to men. The real issue became hypocrisy. His entire public brand rests on traditional family values, rigid masculinity, and opposition to gender nonconformity. If the rumors were even partially true, people felt the foundation of that image collapsed. That's why Jennifer Welch's words resonated so strongly. To critics, it wasn't about insults, it was about credibility. If someone won't defend their own family, why should anyone believe they'll stand for anyone else? And then, one more moment resurfaced and flipped the conversation again. Remember? Erica Kirk, the woman who joked that she would have received less backlash if she had actually touched JD inappropriately. After the alleged lover's statement spread, people reinterpreted that moment entirely. Some speculated that JD's lack of reaction to physical contact from women fit into the broader narrative. That, again, is speculation, but timing matters. On the internet, taken together, the missing ring, the resurfaced photos, the memoir, the jokes, the political infighting, and the alleged college lover created the perfect storm. And now the internet is split. Some believe JD is hiding something. Others argue this is a coordinated political smear campaign. And some think Usha's public shift signals that something inside that marriage broke long before the public noticed. Either way, the story isn't slowing down. New photos keep circulating. The alleged lover's statement continues spreading. And the questions keep growing louder. So now the conversation turns to you. Did Usha finally reach her breaking point? JD's past catch up with him? Or is this all strategic political warfare disguised as scandal? Drop your thoughts in the comments.